Right. So what we have discussed, I think, goal and metrics, we have discussed in the previous session. After that, the facilities and equipment is what we need to discuss. So, because, yeah, so we can select, if you want to select, we have to select all the facilities and equipment. Equipment means infrastructure, okay? Equipment, because whatever the application we were developing, so the infrastructure related information is what comes under the equipment part. So if you want to create a new equipment where we have to update all the records, as I told you, that is relating to the business units, what we have taken, right? So at the same time, if there is any site information or that sort and all, everything we have to write. Now here I'm mentioning about the equipment here. For example, routers. Right? So router is what I'm taking. Right, so router is what generally the equipment I have taken. Those are used to connect systems with multiple units. So this is what generally the routers were. Of course, if there is any primary email or something that we can update it so that we can do it. Now, one more, one more. Yeah. Let me show you. Yeah, routers we have selected. Next firewalls, for example. Firewall. Firewall protection is required to protect from any malware. This is what generally the uh, uh, this is what generally one more is. Next, after that, yeah, you can see here. Yeah, firewalls and routers. Next, we can update the operating system, for example. Because this is a cloud infrastructure, even this, whatever the uh, infrastructure support or platform or software support will be taken care of by the cloud service providers. Okay, so infrastructure, uh, operating system. This will be used to work on the systems. Right, so this is what this audit firewalls. Any malware. Yeah, yeah. Yes, database connect, right? So having multiple privates like JD, AC, etc. be used to connect with database we are using for application development. Right. So these are the, yeah, for example, these are the four facilities. I'm just mentioning you. For these are the four different equipments we have created. Like this, if you want to create, if you want us to create any more equipments and all everything that we can add to the existing ones, that we can do it. At the same time, if you want to create or if you want to add any kind of connections and all, we have to select that particular equipment what we have and all. Here, if you want to select any kind of connections and all, so database connect is what we have taken on the same manner as the one we have done, right? So because here we have to mention the details here, connecting from and all, as less this is basically of connecting to, right? So this is what it is. So connecting to in reference to the database I'm talking about, right? So for example, this is a database connect which was given for him, right? So for example, uh, for this person, we have given, right? So we need to mention the roles here, right? So if you want to create any kind of roles and all everything, we want to create the roles here, right? So roles and all that. So no connectivity or database to be is important to update all the information, right? So this is what it was, right? So this is what it was, connection from, right? So integrating with other applications, right? So as and when we have taken, so we need to mention the start date. Let's say, for example, today we are selecting on the today first date, where in this we want to deliver by third, right? So that's what usually we have taken. Right? For example, right? So this database connect where we have to update, uh, add new connections and all everything. That is what we have connected. So different connections. So we can connect it in reference to the database connect I'm talking about. So like this, whatever the different equipments we are creating for the application. So in reference to the business units, what we have created all that. So this business unit information can also update here because business unit information at the same time teams information, right? So if there is any, for example, if you want to add any kind of new teams to the existing application, so any new teams if you want to add and all, so that we can update the team information over here. So new team information, for example, uh, dynamic start, right? So for example, this is the name of the team, right? So business unit name is CRM, right? Customer relationship management is a business unit name. Yeah. So business unit name, if we want, we can update, right? So if you want to go for any business unit name, we can update it. Otherwise, we don't require it. Update and all. So Azure AD is what generally does. So we're in we can update the team informations over here. Whatever the team informations we have. So the team informations we can update, whatever the new teams we have and all. So that new teams information we have to update. So, but make sure if you want to have a team information or if you want to update the business units, all that. So backend systems, backend, whatever the systems we use in backend, right? So database team, whoever is creating the systems and all everything. So they have to update all the records, whatever the records are needed. So those records and as well as the unit details has to be updated because business units depends on the type of application we are using. These units will vary because ours is, for example, ours is a business, ours is an application relating to customer relationship management in context to the sales. Sales related CRM is what ours is. Maybe others may have because other projects, maybe if you have taken other projects, something relating to e-commerce or retailing and all, their teams will be of separate. So business units has to be updated by the admin team. So because whatever the different business units we have and all of things, so that information has to be updated by the business team. But team name can be given, but backend business team has to create all that. So that is something which we have to see, right? So either we are providing the team name or something like this business unit name and administrator anyway, you know, right? So whoever the people working as an administrator, those details has to be mentioned here. At the same time, access to whom this is being given, right? So is this is the team type will be something confined only to the owner, or is it one which we are giving the access to the people, all that? So is what we have to select here. So this is what we have to update here in regular intervals, all that. At the same time, if whenever we are creating new teams and all that, you can see there is a sales dashboard if you remember, right? So this is the sales dashboard which was created by us. Kingsley, are you following?
Yeah.
Right. So this was the sales board we have already created, right? So sales board was created. So hence we are not creating any sales board as separate, dashboard as separate. But if you want to create teams and all that, team names can be created over here. Business units has to be updated with the database team so that different teams can be created for the existing application, which is the what is that we are using here. So this is where generally this team names, right, team informations, all these things we can see like this, right? So you can see, right? So this is the team name and business unit name, followed by this, whoever the team members, you can see all the list, right? So whoever the existing team members we have and all, we can see all the list of team members whoever are relating to the existing work, right? So this is where generally this teams and all everything will be of useful. One team was already created. If you want us to create new team, we can create multiple new teams, whatever is required and all everything it is. At the same time, if you want to run the workflow here, make sure we have to update, right? So if you want to run the workflow and all, as I told you, there is a recording we have to record, right? So unless until if you are not recording these workflows and all, updating will be something different. So that record has to be updated. So if you want to have a records on what basis, records you will be preparing based on the requirements which customer has given. So being a business analyst, this is where we will be working more on. Because if you want to record any kind of workflow means nothing but the business process. For example, start process. Start process is a business process which has to be initiated, which has to be activated. So if you want to activate what is required, so there is a workflow which has to be created by the team. If they want to create workflow and all, there are some business information which must be available. Because if you remember, whenever I think day before yesterday, I think yeah, day before yesterday class, I have shown you about the workflow process. So the workflow process, whatever the inputs we are giving in the workflow process, so for that there is a relevant data which has to be collected by the business analyst. Because when this will come into picture is whenever there is a new application we are developing, adding to the rules itself is sufficient. But whenever we want to increase more responsibilities for the project. So if you want to increase more responsibilities for the existing project and all, so that time what is that we have to do is that we have to update all this information, whatever the relevant information which is relating to the project. So that relevant information we have to update. So those requirements has to be taken, and those requirements has to be collected by the BA, because business analyst has to collect all the required informations and all everything. So based on that, whatever the workflow we are talking about here, right? So the process workflows and all everything can be recorded upon, right? So that is what at a certain time you can see there is only show only my records, right? So whatever the records which was already created so far, so those records can be updated subsequently here. So that is what generally here. So as of now, we have created one team. As you can see, there is a team which was created already. Yeah, so team is created as well as the business units, etc., etc. At the same time, administrator, of course, whoever the person, whoever has um, logged in, right? So sign in this and all everything. So those people were the administrators over here. Now these are the people who are the team members. So these are the different team members who are belongs to the business team and who will be looking after the database connect part, right? So because this is where generally we were working on. So database connect part and all everything is what we have to do it. So this is where generally these teams will be. At the same time, as you already know, we have already shown you facilities and equipments. Assume that these are the facilities we are developing for the project. So that will be there already there. At the same time, we have to mention the resource groups. Means if you want to create any kind of resource groups as separate, right? So any resource groups we want to select and all that. So here we can create a new resource group. Resource groups are useful if you want to uh, maintain multiple teams to manage. For example, whenever we are working on the agile environment, there are multiple teams we use. Usually for agile projects, for general projects and all, we use only one team. But there will be some situations where the transformation of agile, we are moving to either towards team level or unit level or so. What is required? Excuse me, we can't maintain with the single team because single team consists of 10 people, for example. Right? With 10 people, we can't do it. So what we have to do now, apart from 10 people, apart from one team, you may be required multiple teams for the coordination purpose because multiple teams will be work. This is what we call it a scaled agile concept. Agile concept means only single team will be there, single agile scrum framework and all we use. But multiple teams, and as well as if you are going for unit level, business unit level at all, you require multiple teams to manage all that. So for that, what is that it is? That's the reason why here we have to create resource groups here. Whatever the resource groups we have and all everything is what we have to create. For example, Agile 2, right? So this is what generally the resource group is created. This group will update all the functionalities that are relevant to a particular business unit. Okay. So particular business unit, right? So this is what generally this team is, right? So for example, this is the team where Agile 2 is the team we have created, right? So this is one resource group we have created. So if you want, we can create new resource groups to the existing application, whatever the application we are developing. If you want us to create a new resource teams and all everything, so like this, we can create different resource teams and all everything here. Understood? Are you following, Kingsley?
Yeah.
right? So new resource team has to be created. Again, if you want to create a new resource group, maybe a DevOps team, for example. Okay? So DevOps 3, for example, group name I'm just mentioning as DevOps 3, right? It could be anything. So DevOps 3. So what this DevOps team? DevOps team is combination of development and operations team, right? So DevOps team working on the same application by working on the same application by working on the same application using single environment, single platform for both development and deployment. Both development and as well as deployment is what generates the description for the DevOps team was. So if you want us to create a new DevOps team, we can create a new DevOps team here. So even for this also, if you want to have any connections, add connections and all, again, we have an option where we can click on to this. And if you want to have a new add connections and all everything, so here we can add new connection to the existing ones. The way what is that we did earlier, in the same manner, we can do the new connections and all, because either it could be a resource groups we are creating, or else if you are working on the facilities and as well as equipments or something like adding new connections and as well as activating other activities, adding new connections and all everything is a continuous process. So this is not something which can be segregated as separate. At the same time, users, right? So these are the users anyway that I already told you. So if there is any kind of business units which are associated, new business units has to be created. Here we have to update the business unit, right? For example, whichever the business unit we want to develop or something like. So a new business unit has to be created, followed by those, etc., right? So this is all common information which will be updated. And if you want to create a new business unit, as for example, CRM is a business unit we have to create, where we can create this CRM business unit. So this way, CRM business unit, whatever we have created, this you are updating with the team, because we have an existing team. There, if you want to access any information or something, so where we can connect this business unit to there itself. So CRM is the business unit I have created, where this can be connecting to that. Understood, Kingsley? Clear? Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this is how generally these business units and all everything is what we have to create. So if you want to see an active, because this is the one which I have created recently, and whatever the active business units, because normally we take active business units, we don't consider inactive ones, because inactive business units means where the process has initiated, but maybe after a point of time it may not be required. So it may not be required for further releases or something like that. So that can be happen. So whatever the CRM process we were working on, whatever the business units we are working on, so these business units must be something related and relevant to the active business units only, because active business units, from there only we'll take the information. For example, people who are working on CRM process, if you want to extract any information from them and all, you have to collect from that CRM team itself, right? So you're not required, you are not needed to collect this from any other sources, right? So this information you have to collect from the existing business units, whatever we have and all everything. So from there, we have to collect this information. So that's the reason that whatever the active business units we have, those business units has to be taken for the existing process, all that stuff. At the same time, if you want to create any background processes, right? So if you want to create any background processes and all everything, so which we have to right? So no bulk delete. No. Yeah, it's no bulk delete. Yeah. So more actions. More actions can be performed here. Whatever the activities we need to perform and all everything. So more actions if you want to create any background processes or something like we need to initiate or something of that sort. We can enable and as less disable. This is where generally this background process and all everything is being used. At the same time, even real-time processes, right? So if you have any kind of real-time processes, or if you want to update any kind of really real-time processes here and all everything. So we have to select the reports and we can initiate the real-time processes and all everything to the existing ones. This is something which we have to update in regular intervals and all these records has to be updated. Right? So what are the records we have? Right? So all these records has to be mentioned here. Real-time process scenarios, if any, because there will be some existing application which is already running by the customer. You may be adding new things to the existing ones. So if you want to know about that, what is required, so technical team should know about the process of the existing application which was already running is what they want to know. So then only it will be of use with them. Otherwise there will be of no use. So whatever the process sessions we have, or if you want to see any kind of complete process sessions or something of that sort, we can see this. Right? So this is where generally we can see. At the same time, in addition to this real-time process and all, if there is any kind of personal setting, personal updates we want to update, right? So for example, any create personal views or something like that. So if you want to create any personal views or something, 1 minute, create a personal view, right? So create a personal view because this personal view is relating to the person, people, whoever is maintaining it, right? So for example, these people wants to uh, look for BI reports, right? So for example, business Power BI reports and all everything, right? So this is what make sure it has to be integrated. Then only, right? So created by, right? So we have to select created by import Power BI component sequence number. BI report is what we have taken. These are all filtering process because in the beginning time I have to write Power BI reports uh, contains data components begins with Power BI reports contains data. At the same time, we have to know about the status. Right? So you want to know about the status. So these status and all everything is what we have to update. Right? So we have to active auto active status, whatever the status do we have now. So Power BI reports saved use. Right? So this is what generally uh, the personal views and all everything is what we have created. So this is how generally we have to update this information. At the same time, if you want to create any Excel templates or something like, we can create an Excel templates as well. So that anyway you know it because in the beginning time, in the beginning time I have shown you how to create Excel templates and all, right? So I have created some data and I have shown you. So this is how generally this personal view, right? So in this personal view, we have created in Power BI report related stuff, right? So this is what I have created. And if you want to see any kind of record type, right? So if you want to add any kind of record types or something like, we have to select the accounts and we can use it, right? So because so all these account types and all everything will be updated here subsequently. Yeah, you can see here Power BI reports is what generally we have updated. Power BI reports. If you want any additional, because these are the record types were already predefined in Dynamics itself. Because but we have taken only Power BI related stuff is what we have taken. So this is how generally these processes, real-time processes, or if you want to add any kind of connectivities or something of that sort, is what generally we use here. Yeah. So here real-time process sessions and all everything is what we have to update it here. So this is what generally we do. At the same time, this is all about the real-time processes and all I explained you, business units, all that. And this is where generally the facilities and equipments, this is how generally these facilities and equipments we have created. So that whatever the additional equipment relating to the project infrastructure or something, all this information has to be updated. Make sure whatever the business units we have created, if you want to create more business units, as I mentioned earlier, if you want us to create any new business units and all, we can create. Otherwise, whatever the existing business units, if you want to incorporate any information to the existing ones, we can do that as well. So this is how general these facilities and equipments and all everything are being used. Is it clear to you, Kingsley?
Yeah.
But I think this page was closed. Just give me a minute. Yeah, filters and equipments is that. Next is resource groups. If you remember, resource groups even I have explained, right? So these are the resource groups. This is what generally we have created. If you remember, let me show you again. So in advanced settings, resource groups is what it was. So this is how general this resource groups, right? So these are the two different resource groups we have created even. So next is about services, right? So if you want to add any kind of new services to the existing scenarios, right? So if you want to create any new services, yeah, and this new services followed by the duration and all everything, we have to update. New services, for example, configuration. Configuration. With Power BI. Right. So this is what generally the new service we have taken. It's used to this and generate reports. Right? This is what generally the description I have taken. Next. So this configuration with Power BI, for example, which was requested, right? So initiation status was requested. If it is under progress and all, everything we have to mention in progress. Or else if it is still under pending state, pending statements, which is not accepted is considered as pending. Pending means we are not yet started, but it was under pending. Tentative means, tentatively it may start soon, right? That's what it was. If it was arrived, it is done. right? So here I have just mentioned it as request. Next, default duration, how much duration we require and all everything. Maybe for example, 45 minutes is what we have taken, right? Activities for every 30 minutes we have to update is what we have taken. So at what time it has to start and all everything, 8 a.m. is what generally was, where we can update configuration with BA is what generally the services, because one of the service in Dynamics. So if you want to configure any kind of services and all everything, so this configuration of BA, configuration with Power BA is what generally the service we have taken. So further, that tentative time of the amount of time, what is the